So there is an attempt, I guess, in Seattle, right? Is it starting in Seattle? The Whole Foods unionization attempt, or I should say, this is from the Seattle Times. A group of workers at the Whole Foods market is trying to form a union, seeking better compensation and benefits, and charging the conditions have worsened since Amazon bought the grocer last year. And I guess this is probably a national thing. The group is proposing demanding a $15 minimum, $15 an hour minimum wage. The Wall Street Journal said the plan was to send it to employees at most of the 490 Whole Foods stores. So, of course, Fox and Friends, alarm bells go off. Well, they're either making fun of people from buying organic food or worried that somehow there's going to be unions. So they've wheeled out Stuart Varney, and Fox and Friends are all going to listen at the foot of the master.
Falling.
Briefly, the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
His Whole Foods, the workers there want to unionize, and that is terrifying him because that would mean maybe Amazon would do the same.
Yes, Amazon is worried about this because they've got these workers at Whole Foods who want a raise, they want unionization. Does that spread over to their warehouse workers? There are far more warehouse workers, and that would put Amazon in a precarious, profitable position for their retail operation. By the way, Amazon stock, very high flyer. It's come down $100 a share in the last couple of days. Some investors are worried.
If you're a CEO, how do you prevent your folks from unionizing?
How do you prevent your folks from unionizing?
Can you?
Well, you can mount a counter campaign, and Amazon is doing just that. Of course, you could also raise wages.
Yeah.
Right, and they've been criticized for not.
Bernie Sanders is criticizing them heavily for not raising wages.
And so is Tucker Carlson.
Oh, whatever you say, Brian.
There you go.
You can hire a private militia and murder them.
Do you know what that is? You know what that is? It's so obvious now that it's just like the fact that he's touting that Tucker Carlson is doing that, just like it gives up the game, right? It's Bill Shine in the White House. The president isn't going to appreciate if you shit on Amazon. That is it. That is it, right? Because it's not like Tucker Carlson's calling for a $15 minimum wage, $15 minimum wage across the board. It's just he's focusing it on Amazon. And so that, to me, it gives up the ghost a little bit. But there it is. You could start a counter campaign, or you could pay them more money.
Also, let me go Seder for a second. Precarious. Did anybody else notice precarious?
He said precarious profit. He just was.
It could make their profits precarious.
Well, it's funny what kind of profits, because Amazon, as far as I know, loses money, or at least has historically been a money loser. But the stock market only cares if you're losing that money to labor.
Well,
right.
Yes, but to the extent that they make their money, it is all through their server business.
Right. And now they have $1 trillion valuation.
But also raising wages is the easiest way to get out of this situation, right? Because the other things that the workers want and that would help them out a lot, like having more control over their conditions, over their workplace, over their bathroom breaks or whatever, they need that too. And that's even more dangerous to the bosses.
I mean, what's interesting, I think that's true. And I think it's also interesting, though, in terms of like the broader thing of like the idea that people in slightly better conditions are the ones who push for more. And Whole Foods is ridiculous, and John Mackey was an awful, delusional, hippie libertarian and nonsense. But it has also been the case, I think, pretty clearly that in Whole Foods, like, if you're going to have that job, better to have it in Whole Foods than other places. They've received better wages than like comparable outlets. So it's interesting that like that might be the workforce.
Now they used to.
Well, exactly. That's my point. They already had a slightly higher expectation of their employer, and it's pushing them towards this unnecessary move.
But it also kind of puts the lie to the nice boss argument that John Mackey used to make, like, you don't need a union.
100%.
Don't you trust me to take care of you? I'm such a nice boss.
Yeah, and incidentally, I just sold out.
Yeah, like you don't know who the boss is going to be tomorrow because that's how capitalism works.
That's
consolidate.
100% right. And he also used that spin to do very aggressive union busting when he was CEO.
And it probably increased the value of his company so that he could sell out those people.